time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Thursday edition of Two Guys and a Goalie. Episode 134, if you're keeping track for some weird reason. It's Nielson, Gage, Kassian, and Gage Salas. We are brought to you by our friends at CoolBet. If you've not yet signed up for an account at CoolBet, what are you waiting for? Stay cool, bet responsibly. Go to coolbet.com. If you sign up for an account, use the bonus code 2GUYS, number 2 in the word guys, and you'll get hooked up with a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Cass, what's this being back in the office again on a Thursday? My goodness, buddy, you're working too hard lately.
You know what? It's been a busy couple of weeks, and then we were having some remote access issues where I was trying to log in online and stuff wasn't working properly. So I said, you know what? Rather than fight with this and deal with tech support, I'm just gonna go in. So here I am.
Man, tech support, the worst. They really don't care about your issues, do they?
No. No, they probably do. You know what? They actually do a decent job. I know it was a pretty widespread issue apparently, so it was something with the app. I don't know what was going on, but so yeah, like I said, there's enough people making phone calls in to have to work through stuff that I didn't want to wait. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm just gonna go in and do what I gotta do.
I knew this was going to be an issue. I should have never granted access to this. So for our connection now on the program that we use, which is Wirecast, which is a really smooth program. We've enjoyed it for the last year. In the most recent update, it's now put a chat function in behind the scenes on the screen, and Gager is acting like a 6-year-old kid on this chat function. Come on, Gager, need to use that chat responsibly, buddy.
Yeah, I'm going straight to detention after this, I guess, Dusty. Sorry about that, but just seeing if it works, if everyone's getting it. I just
all I'm seeing is Gager typing 8 equals D. Gage, I don't know what that means. Is that some kind of equation?
Yeah, well, you'll figure it out, Cass. You'll figure it out.
Oh my goodness! So, Gage, are you going for the cool Papa Smurf look today, or what? What's going on here?
No, this is my thinking hat. I don't know. Maybe it just keeps the brain warmer, but I feel like I actually have a better mental capacity with this thing on. I've had to go through some testing and some reviewing of stuff for work, so I had to complete a bunch of chapters for my for one of my certifications, and so yeah, maybe it's just a placebo effect, but I think it's helping me. So I got through all that, and then big test coming up. So now it's just study. So that's good.
No, it's just study time. The worst, absolute worst. Gage Salas is with us here as well. You got some news to kick off the episode. What do you got there, Hernan?
Yeah, but first off, my car got broken into yesterday. They broke my windows. And,
What?
Yeah. It was one of those days, boys. So after the podcast, I gotta go get all the windows. Not all, but my window replaced. And the funny thing was, though, guys, I live downtown, obviously, and I had bottles in the back because I was gonna go to the depot, and they didn't take my bottles.
What'd they take?
They took my insurance, my registration, and my key cards.
This seems sketchy. Why would anybody take insurance, registration? They're trying to steal your identity.
Yeah,
that's what's happening here. Is that not what it sounds like, boys?
Yeah. Identity guard. Yep. Well, my wife's car got broken into last night. She left it open, but and my neighbor, his truck got stolen. So bad night. Terrible.
Yeah, I'm not a detective, but I bet you that was the same person. I bet you if you can get the prints off your wife's car, you'll find that truck. Well, CSI Edmonton.
You know what?
This was really bad.
I was just going to say.
Go ahead, guys.
Use the chat, you bastards.
I was just going to say, Dusty, you and I are going to have to be on high alert here. I think this is targeted, intentional.
A two guys crime wave. God.
But
that's insane.
It was brutal because my neighbor, they stole the change thing out of my wife's car, and didn't just steal the change; they stole the whole housing of it. And then they went down to my neighbor's truck, and they well, they stole his truck and left, but they left the change purse right on his driveway.
Your wife's change purse?
My wife's change bin in between, in the console, was taken out, and they were obviously just checking doors to see what was in. Stole his car and said, "Well, we don't need all this change. We got an F-150." So they left the change thing on his driveway, like a big middle finger to him. Like, oh man, I gotta get the Ring camera.
They got my name and address out of that, but that's it. But it's funny though, because it's like if you're looking for cash, like I probably had a good $10 in bottles there, and then like I had my arcade key card, and for some reason I left it in the car. But I'm like, have a good time finding out where all those belong to, and the and you cancel all of them and all that. But it's just like it was just so stupid. Like, what are you doing? To damage someone's car, but.
That's bullshit, buddy. I'll just say that's garbage. Yeah. Happened to me in our driveway 2 years ago, probably 2 years ago. I went out one morning and I get into the car and I look and there's like a bunch of change everywhere. So I go back into the house. I said to Tam, I was like, "Have you been rummaging through my car?" She goes, "No." So I went back out, opened it up. They took all my change from the middle console, and I had a bag full of hockey cards on the passenger seat, and those buggers took my cards as well, which just pissed me right off. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah. But some Oiler news. This just breaking. Dave Tippett says, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins didn't skate today after skating the last 2 days, and he will not make the trip this weekend if they play tomorrow, and he will be out on Saturday as well.
Cass, your thoughts, buddy? What do you think? No Nuge.
Well, conky symptoms. Obviously, takes a step back if he was been skating the last little bit, so must have had a bad day. And at this point for the Oilers in the season, it really makes sense. Like if he's banged up. And there's a risk of re-injury, which, with brain injuries and head injuries, there is. Like if he got bumped again, it could be worse this time. Maybe he's not all back 100% yet. Then you might lose him for longer. So it doesn't make sense to try to force it early for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins because he is going to be essential for this team heading into the playoffs. So give him another weekend, give him some more time. I'm totally fine with it, especially if there's a little bit of a setback. It means you have to ask the question, who's going to fill in on that second line? What's that second line going to look like if Draisaitl and McDavid are together? But overall, I'm fine with it from just a player management standpoint.
This might be the best thing for Nuge's offseason stock that we've seen so far. Like, let's see how the Oilers lineup looks with him out of it. Because, as Cass mentioned, I mean, if you're going to stick McDavid and Draisaitl together, then you're looking at his second line of Gaetan Haas, Dominic Cahoon, and Kyler Yamamoto. And I'm not really against any of those three guys, but Gager, that line doesn't move the needle for me much, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if they just lit the world on fire? Chance
that would be something.
That would be something. But like Cass said, I think there really is no better time to be injured, where the Oilers have pretty much solidified a playoff spot, barring anything drastic happening. Gives Ryan Nugent-Hopkins time to heal, and I mean, it can really showcase him as a piece that's really needed with his team. That hopefully those guys can fill the void for a while. But I think a lot of Oiler fans will actually, especially the ones asking to trade Nugent-Hopkins, will actually get to see some of the value that he provides on a nightly basis.
Hernan, what are your thoughts on without Nuge? I mean, with McDavid and Draisaitl together, if Nugent-Hopkins is there, you can kind of understand it because you do have a experienced second line center that you can play there. But without them, I mean, this is the biggest all your eggs in one basket that we've seen maybe in any team in the league in a long time, with the lack of other options they have there. What are your thoughts on the decision to keep McDavid and Draisaitl together, even though you basically go from a number one line to a series of like third lines at best?
Yeah, I'm torn on this one because they're so good together, but then the other team has to concentrate on that line and just be okay against the other lines, and there's probably not a lot of offense going to come from those other three lines. It's tough because last time you saw Haas with it was Yamamoto and Cahoon, and that's a really tiny line, right? Like they're small. There's not a lot of physical element to their game there. So honestly, Dusty, without Nuge, I'd rather split up the two big dogs. And again, if you need be in the third period, if you're tied or you're down one, you go to that big line to see if you can get that goal. But for me, I would split them up right now because in these last two games, we've seen when they load up that line, there's not much coming from the other lines offensively. Like, they're not playing terrible, Dusty. They just don't generate enough offense to stay in the game, right?
Cass, does it make sense to you at all to just keep those guys together when you just kind of hope that they light it up and everybody else hangs on for dear life?
I think it depends who you're playing against. We've seen them have success against some teams and not against others. I look at a game if we end up playing tomorrow against the Vancouver Canucks, where their lineup, to me, it makes sense where you can overload a line. The Vancouver hasn't been great, not a ton of offense coming from them, so you maybe feel more comfortable loading up and trying to force the other team to handle those guys. But against like a Montreal or a Toronto that has been playing a pretty good defensive game overall, or where there's a meatiness to the lineup from an offensive standpoint like Toronto, I don't think you can. I don't think it gives you enough depth. I think you need to split them up. I don't think you get enough just from having that line. Like, you need a little bit of support. Not that you need them to score a ton of goals. Like, really, if McDavid and Draisaitl are on the same line, you just need them to outscore the opposition and everyone else to be even. That's kind of it. But even on that, I think we've seen some challenges from the depth in the lineup of doing that, specifically that second line. Not so much like the Jujar-Khaira line has been pretty good. They've been pretty consistent. But aside from that, there's been some struggles and too much zone time in the defensive zone from the other groups that I don't like it. I don't like having to load up the one line all the time.
Gage, are you in cahoots with the boys here? You kind of agree with this, or can you kind of spin it the other way that it is best to have those guys together?
I think it all depends on where they're playing too with last change. I think at home provides you the ability to play them together a little bit more, just because you have the possibility of putting them out against maybe a third or fourth line type matchup and gain the advantage that way. On the road, just to mess up with the other team's lines, I would split them up a little bit more just to throw the monkey wrench in there.
So if you don't have Nuge and you were to split them up again, Draisaitl would be back with his regular line mates, with Yamamoto and Kahun, a line that's been pretty decent so far. And then you got Connor freaking McDavid on your other line with Puljujarvi on the right side, and then you would just have to have somebody else replace Nugent Hopkins on the left side. Cass, if they did decide to go to that, who would you give that look to? Tyler Ennis? Would it be Ennis or Nygaard or Kassian? Or what would you do on the left side there with McDavid and Puljujarvi?
In a perfect world, I'd want to see Zach Kassian step in there. I think he gives you that weight and that aggressiveness and that skating ability. But he struggled, since he's been back from his injury. He hasn't really been able to get to the same level we have seen him at in the past. Now, in a perfect world where he's playing as he needs to, then I think he's a great fit there. So I'm going to say him ideally if he's playing well. He just has to get his game back to the level. Barring that, I think Ennis is the next natural choice for me.
Remember, they went to Kassian, McDavid, and Puljujarvi for 2/3 of a hockey game. I think it should be 2 periods. I guess 2/3. I don't know why I decided to make it all fractions there, but I got a couple of periods out of them, and then that was it. They went away from it. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But let's continue with the conversations here. We do have Chris Abbott coming up. He's going to join us a little bit later on. Keep it or clip it a little bit later on as well. Right now, let's get into we got to talk about it. Brought to you by Break Kings. If you have not yet joined the Break Kings card breaking group on Facebook, just go to Facebook. You'll see our logo plastered all over their page right now. Facebook.com/BreakKings with a Z at the end of Kings. I'm doing some breaks over there, and we've partnered with them here on Two Guys and a Goalie as well. So follow Break Kings on Facebook. All right, let's go. Well, Hernan, definitely. Let's go. What do we got to talk about here, buddy?
Yeah, the Canucks situation. I know the Oilers fly out today at 5 o'clock to Vancouver, but I know Vancouver is getting tested today by their doctors for their lungs, their heart, COVID, everything that has to do with that. And you saw JT Miller's comments yesterday saying, like, I don't know how they're making us play. You're seeing a lot of the analysts like Ray Ferraro saying like this is very irresponsible by the NHL. And listen, we all want to watch the Oilers play. It's been a while, and their last game was a stink fest, but this seems a little irresponsible by the NHL to push the Vancouver Canucks into action this close. This fast. But we'll wait and see on the tests and all that. Right now I have it 50-50 probably if this game's going to go or not. I just think, and listen, the Oilers' huge advantage if they do play. Obviously, this team is going to practice today and have a morning skate tomorrow, and that's the first time they've touched the ice in 2 weeks. But I don't know, man. It just seems too soon. A lot of their players came off the list yesterday. Why risk their health? Why risk another team possibly dealing with COVID? So for me, it makes no sense. As much as I want to watch the Oilers and I want to work and cover the team, tomorrow just seems a little irresponsible. I don't know if people agree with me, but I think it's too quick for a return for the Vancouver Canucks.
I'm worried about their overall health in the next 31 days, playing 19 games. Like that's amazing. Actually, that'd be tough to do on a video game system, let alone do it in real life. You're going to have injuries. Like their taxi squad is going to get taxed, as you say, because of that many games. And coming off of where everyone's had COVID, like we don't really know of the damage to people's lungs or how they're feeling, and they haven't been on the ice. I mean, I'm with Hernan here. It's that's a lot to put on a professional athlete after in the situation you're in. I don't know what the answer would be to make it easier, but it just seems like a little quick with what's going on.
The league already changed the schedule for you. NHLPA agreed to the schedule changes. I don't know what you're whining about. To me, the onus for this is on the Vancouver Canucks, not necessarily the players, but the organization as a whole of putting their players at risk because they put them in a situation by not taking, doing NHL mandatory steps, but not being smart about their process. And now you had COVID go through everybody. Fortunately, it sounds like everyone's recovering and there's not, hopefully, again, not long-term consequences to anybody from this, but again, the NHL already accommodated by extending the season for you here. So yeah, it sucks that you haven't had your entire team on the ice, but you're not a playoff team in the first place. They already extended the season for you. Like what did you expect? Like, what did you expect? Like, did you expect them to give you another 3 weeks at the end of the year? Did you expect them to say, you know what, we're going to make sure you guys have lots of practice time into this. You can do that. You can do this. And we're just going to roll out the red carpet for a non-playoff hockey team. It just, to me, that doesn't make sense. So maybe it's a little bit cold of me to say it, but looking at both the game tomorrow as well as the schedule, like that's the type of year this is. And you just have to deal with it. This is your job. This is your job. That you have a job to do, and understandably you may not be at your absolute best in this situation, but them's the bounces. Your whole team got sick. You got to deal with it, and this is just the consequences of that. So
yeah, but if somebody doesn't feel safe going into their work in a regular place, you can say, I don't feel safe, I'm not coming into work. I mean, could the Canucks players just not say that?
Have them say that. If someone doesn't feel
that's
safe,
what I'm wondering.
they don't want to go in.
If they do that, are they going to be criticized though?
Well, maybe, but how often are these guys getting tested? Like they're getting tested every single day. Every single day they're being tested here. So this is not a scenario where it's like whatever you think about the tests and false positives or false negatives or whatever the case may be, like these guys are getting tested all the time. And I do not doubt that if there's players that are testing positive or that have tested positive, then they will step in and they will need to do something. But if people are not testing positive, if they've had a long period in between positive cases and they've come through the COVID protocol, why should they be overly concerned? Like if people test positive and recently have tested positive and it's continuing to spread, well, then that's a different issue altogether because that's like an ongoing health issue. I guess for me, more it's not even so much on the COVID, is it safe here, but more on the let's whine about the number of games played and that we haven't had enough practice time, because I think that's BS. But the COVID thing, that's a little different. Like if you have, you're trying to keep people safe from that standpoint. And I don't think we should criticize if someone says, I don't feel safe doing this. But again, it has to be on that COVID reason, not just the, I haven't had a chance to be on the ice enough. To me, that's a cop-out.
Is that for sure that they kind of had the relaxed kind of attitude towards all the protocols and stuff like that? Like I've heard rumblings of that, but I agree with you. If that was the case and they were irresponsible, Cass, then yeah, they made their bed. They gotta lay in it. But I like if I'm not feeling well and I'm having trouble, I should be able to say, look, I don't feel well enough to play yet, and there shouldn't be any repercussions for my actions.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I don't, because you're getting paid a lot of money to do something. And like, if you have someone that's the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and they're not feeling well or they're not feeling up to snuff on a day, well, yeah, occasionally they may get a day off. But if they own the business and are running the business, if you look at people right now, I know we're locked down here in Alberta, but people in the restaurant industry or small business owners, like they don't have a choice some days on whether they want to keep going and keep pushing for their business. And I don't know. I look at it again, and Gage, I don't know, like, if they followed everything to a T from a protocol standpoint. Like, and I don't know if we know. As far as I'm aware, this wasn't a situation like we had earlier in the year with Washington, like where you had players intentionally step outside of stuff, because we haven't seen any of that. However, even from not canceling a morning skate, still having everyone come together when you knew you had a positive, like there were some things that may have fallen into appropriate protocol as determined by the league, but they may not have been wise. Because I think there's a difference between making wise decisions when you have information and just following, what you're told to do. So I don't know. I kind of went a little bit all over the place there, but I think from
what's.
I was just gonna say, it's an interesting discussion, because like you have to look at it from a perspective of if they were breaking protocol, and we don't know. There's a rumor. Everybody's gonna come with rumors about everything, and they did say get away from hockey for a bit. We got some time off, whatever, and then they get hit with this. If they broke protocol, then fine their asses. Don't force them back early because they're not feeling good yet, just to try to send a message. There can be fines in the National Football League. If you broke protocol, you got hit with a $500,000 fine. Like they wouldn't hesitate. In the National Hockey League, if it comes out that the Canucks forced protocol or broke protocol, I'd rather fine them and send a message that way to ownership to keep your team in line, as opposed to the players saying, hey, if you guys were irresponsible, it doesn't matter. You have to play Friday against the Oilers, even if you have a shorthanded lineup. Like the National Hockey League, to me, can't sit on the fence on player safety. They always talk about, we got to do what's best for the player. We got to do what's best for the players. But at the same time, they're making a team play 19 games in 31 days. They're making a team play 42 games in 80 days. Like it doesn't, you can't have it both ways, I guess. You're either in on player safety or you're not. And to me, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too in this situation.
And keep in mind, Dusty, maybe you know this, JT Miller wasn't on the COVID list this time around, because remember, he had it to start the season. And so it's interesting to me that he's the one coming out saying, why are we playing, when he's probably one of the healthiest of Vancouver Canucks right now, because he dealt with COVID at the start of the season, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't on the list this time around.
Yeah, again, like, to go to the games and days played, like, yes, it's a lot, but if you start trying to push this thing out and delaying these games, you're going to just run into the exact same issue. Like, again, what do you expect? Do you expect the league to give them another 3 weeks to end the season? Like, you can't do that. You're going to have to play a condensed schedule. You're going to have to play condensed games. And again, like, yes, I understand some of these guys may have been, had COVID, may have been sick, may be dealing with lung issues, may not be feeling well. Like, there could be some after effects from it here. But some of the guys, as we know, at times COVID can be asymptomatic, or they may have tested positive and just been quarantined or been exposed and been quarantined. And for those guys, you can't tell me that, you've been off for how many days now? Like a week and a half? Like, you can't tell me that your conditioning as a professional athlete, you lose it in a week and a half. Like it takes time. Like understandably, you may be huffing and puffing a little bit more. Like your red blood cell level and your oxygen levels may have dropped a little bit. Like it may take you a little bit or a couple of days to get back to the top of where you were. But overall, you're not going to be completely out of shape. And that's where I guess I don't get it. Like if you want to complain about the condensed schedule, all right, like you can complain about that a little bit. But you do have the taxi squad, so you have more players available. And all of a sudden, I think this situation becomes one where your coach needs to have smart bench management. Like you have to watch what you're doing with the players. You have to get guys rotating through the lineup, and you have to be smart with your deployment. And to me, that's just part of this season as a whole. And again, part of just the consequences of having something like this go through your team. And again, to go like right, wrong, or indifferent, like even if they follow protocol to a T, the protocols don't guarantee success in this instance. Like with COVID, they don't guarantee it. Now they probably give you a better chance of mitigating, but it's like they could have followed everything is exactly as they're supposed to, and something still happens. But again, to go to the wise thing, like you have a player that's pulled for COVID protocol, and then you still have a pregame skate, and players still chose to do that, which falls into protocol, okay, but maybe wasn't a wise decision. So I don't know. I have a harder time. Like I understand where they want sympathy, but I don't necessarily sympathize as much as you guys would.
Kaz, let me ask you this. Last one, and then we'll get to Chris Abbott, who's waiting. If the health officials say the Vancouver Canucks have 10 forwards and 6 defensemen and 2 goalies that can play, would you be okay with them the league forcing the Canucks to play 2 players short of a full roster?
Yes.
Really?
So back in the day, the East Coast League, they only had 11 forwards. So they would play with 11 forwards to start. What happens in those games if you have someone get injured early on in the game? Like you can deal with that. In my own experience, just to go to my potential NHL record here, I played 2.5 minutes, so like 2 minutes and 10 seconds in a game. And everyone else played more than that. But it's like I was my contribution on ice in that game from a time standpoint was completely negligible. And I don't recall anyone complaining in that game like, oh, you only have one guy that played 2 minutes. This is too much of an issue. Like, yeah, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. But is it the end of the world for one game where you have to do that? No. I don't think so. So yeah, I'm fine with it. Now, if health officials came in and said like 9 players, 8 players, 5 defensemen, 1 goalie, then you kind of go like, okay, you maybe have to draw the line somewhere. But to me, saying 10 forwards, 60, and in a goalie, like I don't know, that's not the line there for me. I don't see that.
We will come back around to the other topics before we got to talk about it. Brought to you by Break Kings. But let's go to Chris Abbott from CoolBet. He pops by for his weekly visit. We've got lots to get to today. Chris, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, fellas. How are you guys doing?
Good. We're just looking at this possible. Do we have odds on if this game actually gets played tomorrow between the Canucks and the Oilers? Can we get those in the next 2.5 hours?
So I'm kind of with Cass on this. Like I think they should play. I don't know that delaying another day or two is going to matter. Like how many guys are playing for the Utica Comets right now that would love to make their NHL debut? Like you got to get the games in. You've got guys in your organization. Bring them up. It takes 7 days, okay, and then you get it done. I think nobody wants to be in this situation, but it's where you are. So allow them to expand their roster. Sure, fine. Make an exception. But, yeah, if guys are sick, don't force them to play. But, I don't see why they can't make this work.
I like that. That should have been put in the rule book before. That just expanding the roster if they needed to bring up extra bodies just in case they lost a bunch. Like maybe I'd get back in there. I don't know. Let's put me on the list.
Well, their season statistically, their season's done, right? So give some guys in your organization a look. Whether you win or lose, I don't think is the point right now. You got to get the games in. You've got contractual obligations. If guys want to opt out, fine. I'm sure there's guys that would love the opportunity. Maybe I'm too flippant with this, but I don't see why that can't happen.
Maybe running time, third period. Just
get it taken care of, especially if they have to go short. If they have to go with the shorter line, we probably know what ends up happening with this game here. Any time now. I think you get some sort of update because the Oilers are going to have to fly at 5:00 today and be ridiculous from a National Hockey League perspective, but not completely unexpected to have the Oilers fly, hang out in a hotel for a night, then turn around and fly to Winnipeg and get ready for the game over the weekend. Chris, any change really in the betting odds as far as the Stanley Cups go after that trade deadline? I didn't see anything that would have really moved the needle, I don't think.
No, I don't think the odds moved all that much, to be completely honest with you. It's the same few teams, right? Vegas, Colorado, Toronto, Tampa, Carolina. I still think is good value. They're a little bit behind the pack here. Washington's odds might have improved a little bit. The Islanders' odds might have improved a little bit, but you're still talking 6 or 7 teams, right? So I would say if you're looking for any value, look for somebody to upset the Maple Leafs along the way. Cass, you had a question.
Yeah, I was actually going to be along the lines. Is there any way I can bet against the Maple Leafs, because I want to see that city just go ham?
So that's exactly what I'm going to do, by the way, when playoff time comes. So because I had this conversation, I can't remember with who this week, but you guys don't think Toronto's winning this division, do you? No. something's gonna happen.
Habs in 6.
Winning 2 playoff
Habs in 6. Right? That's what happens.
So what you do when the series prices come out, you bet on the other team. And you can be sure that Toronto's going to be a big favorite in their first series and their second series if they get to it. So I'll be betting the other team to win the series when those odds come out. And I think that's the smartest thing to do. And then also, if you really want to take a futures bet on Winnipeg, on Montreal, and see what happens. I don't think you're going to see a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup. I think the other teams in the other divisions are better. It's just not enough people have been paying attention to the U.S. this year, and everybody's coronating the Maple Leafs, and we all know what's going to happen, Cass. You're right. The city is going to burn.
Can we bet on the expansion draft and see who's going to go like number 1 and number 2 and stuff like that? Do you guys do that?
We will now. That's a beautiful idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Love you, Coolbet.
Yeah,
I'm a paid employee, actually, if you really look at it.
We'll get a little bonus in the Joaquin Gage betting account for that one. That's a great idea. I don't even know when the expansion draft is. Is it June? Around the regular draft?
July, I think.
It's July is going to be, yeah.
I think that's a great idea. That would be really, really interesting. I mean, we offer odds on the regular draft. The NFL draft is a huge betting event. So I don't see why we wouldn't do that. When we finish this call, I'm going to write our NHL odds makers and say, have I got an idea for you? And I came up with it all by myself.
That's all right, man. You can take it. Take it and run with it.
Gage, that was a really good idea. That's I like that.
I already saw you're already going to have that on TSN 1260, Edmonton's sports leader, on one of your draft days. If we
for
get
sure, expansion draft will be great. It would be criticized because we're not taking it seriously enough, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. Chris, let us run a quick theory we have by you. It's not sports related, but it's a podcast topic. So last night, somebody broke into Gager's wife's vehicle and Hernan's car. Now, Hernan lives downtown. Gager lives like southwest. Do you think this is a specifically targeted 2 guys and a goalie crime wave here? It's somebody coming after us.
Well, you and Cass better hire private security tonight. That's all I got to say about that. That is certainly strange. And I also, Gager, was it your neighbor had his truck stolen as well? Did I see that?
Yeah, he got his truck stolen. So yeah,
and I think he should blame you, because this is most definitely a targeted attack on Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, and they're coming for Dustin Nielson and Matt Kassian tonight. There's no doubt in my mind. Minus 500 odds. They looked you guys up. They found your addresses, and this is it. This is absolutely it.
I'm going to sit in my car tonight and surprise them when they try to open up the door. I'll be like, what's up, son of a bitch? Let's do this.
Yeah, Dusty 6'5", Dusty's 6'5", and Cassie should kick ass in the NHL, so they better be careful.
Yeah.
Well, then they've clearly done their research. They clearly went after the weakest links.
They've asked, what do you want? Chocolate chip or blueberry? That's the two muffins that are coming their way.
Excellent, buddy. Great chat, man. We'll catch up next week.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Talk soon.
There you go. That is Chris Abbott from Coolbet. If you're watching on the live stream and you want to chime in on this targeted crime wave against the Two Guys and a Goalie podcast, let us know in the inbox, and we'll get to a few of those comments. All right, that's brought to you by, as always, Chris Abbott, brought to you by our friends at Coolbet. He's the Canadian manager. Visit them at coolbet.com. Follow him on Twitter at CoolBetChris. He's a great follow on Twitter, especially if you're into sports betting. But even if you're just into hilarious sports suites, he's got a lot of those. All right, let's get back to, we got to talk about it. Let's go to you first, Cass. Where do you want to go, buddy?
Well, you mentioned it when we were talking about Toronto and them losing the first round. You said Montreal in 6. Montreal in 6. Dusty, what about Calgary in 6? What about the
Calgary would lose
6 games here?
But they could be there. They could be there.
They could be there. A couple big wins for the Flames, and all of a sudden, there's that little glimmer of hope that they have. Now, it's still really faint, still really small, still may not happen, but a couple of big wins, and they're playing Montreal a whole bunch of times here coming up right away. And if they sweep them, they are right back in this race, which is not something I would have been thinking a week and a half or even 2 weeks ago. Like, I thought they were done, way out of it. There's a little glimmer of hope. I guess I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on, is this something that could potentially actually happen? Could the Calgary make a little bit of comeback in the standings, bounce back, and actually unseat the Montreal Canadiens for that last playoff spot?
Go ahead, Hernan.
Yeah, it's watching that game yesterday. It looked really good. Montreal's able to get one back, but then Josh Levo scored a nice goal there. They're playing well, but and then you look at the standings, and Montreal still has those 3 games in hand, and they're obviously missing Carey Price because it's not all on Jake Allen, but he hasn't been able to pick up a lot of wins since he took over for the injured Carey Price. So this one's, at least for a guy that's doesn't really care who makes it. Like, I'd rather Montreal make it, obviously, but I want to see some sort of a playoff push here because it almost looks like the 3 teams at the top of the North Division are pretty secure right now. But yeah, if Calgary can win that one tomorrow, like Cass said, then Montreal's going to be in a little bit of a panic mode there. I'm still going to lean towards more Montreal because of the games in hand, but Calgary's definitely getting a little bit hot at the right time here. But could it be the case of too little, too late right now?
Yeah. I mean, games in hand don't mean anything if you don't do anything with them. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the main thing. I did watch a bit of the Calgary game, and who I was really impressed with was that I think it's Noah Hannafin. He's playing really well, and they had an interview in between periods, and I know it's regurgitated stuff, but it just seemed like he had the belief that they're still in this thing from just the tone of voice that he had. And then, the emotional boost from the old man Lucic going into 1,000 games and fighting and right away and stuff. So they're on a little bit of a high here. They're rolling. If it all depends if they can keep going. Markstrom has to really be good. Maybe Flipper was bad in the room. I don't know. They got rid of a
Flipper.
That guy didn't. One guy couldn't do chin-ups, and the other guy was bat flipping. So they got cut out the cancer, and now they're rolling, I guess.
A couple of things here. They've won 3 in a row now, right? Because they beat the Oilers, then went on the road and won 2. You're seeing Gaudreau, you're seeing Monahan, you're seeing their offensive guys actually start to take care of some business offensively, which is important. I'm not going to say they're completely out of it, but it does 100%, in my opinion, come down to these games against the Montreal Canadiens, and that's it. Like, I don't care what they do against anybody else. They can run the table against everybody else. If you don't take care of business here against the Habs, you probably don't have a hope in hell. Can they win 4 in a row against Montreal? I'm not too sure that's going to happen. But Gage, I do want your thoughts on Tkachuk with the snow job. on his former teammate Riddick in their first game head-to-head. Got a little hack on the ankles for his efforts.
Well, I loved the fact, yeah, he got that, but I love the fact that he was on the plane with them going there, right? Yeah. So it just, and the barrage of just back and forth, it would have been, oh gosh, if I could only have been on that flight. I thought that is just hilarious. A guy getting traded and then having to fly with his team to his new team. He said there was some playful banter on that trip, but I mean, he said all the right things. But that's just hilarious when Tkachuk. I loved that. That was just great.
Gager, what do we got to talk about, buddy?
Oh, something dear to my heart here, Dusty. I was really upset. Actually, it kind of affected me more than I thought it would. But the Memorial Cup being canceled and the CHL canceling it. It's in a time of your life playing hockey when you're pretty green and it's your world, and if you get a chance to get close to going to that tournament, I still believe it is the hardest trophy to win in all sports, just because you have to be part of a team that's good at the right time. There's such a small window to get there. A lot of things have to go right. Really unfortunate for a lot of young guys to participate in such an awesome tournament. I know we hear ad nauseum about how Jason Strudwick won Memorial Cups, and it just gets annoying with most of those Kamloops guys. But you can hear it in his voice of how special those teams and winning it was. I'd like to ask you guys, because I think we're just in special circumstances anyway throughout all this stuff. I do believe. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that we're in a way better spot than we are in a few months with everything. But I don't see the problem with the CHL adding a year so 21-year-olds can play junior. So because guys missing out on that 1 year and playing the whole thing again. I mean, I look at it by 16-year-olds. Does a 16-year-old really need to go away, or can he stay one more year in midget and dominate if they're going to the Western League? But I would like to see kids get a chance to finish their junior careers. I think it's a big part of their lives for so many years. Some guys don't even go on to play pro, right? So that could be it for them. I just think there should be a special rule going into next year to allow just bump the year by one.
Cass, you played junior. What do you think?
I don't think you can do it. I appreciate the sentiment, Gager, but I don't think you can do it just from a logistics standpoint. I mean, you're only allowed 3 20-year-olds anyways, so it's not like there's too many of them. And when I look at it, I go, you're going to have 16-year-old kids, 17-year-old kids, and now you're going to have 21-year-old men and 20-year-old men playing against them for a season. I don't know that it works. It's disappointing, and it's sad that they can't find a way to make the Memorial Cup happen. My thought always was that they were going to do it in a central location, much like the NHL did their playoffs. Like you run it, maybe shorten up the schedule inside the Memorial Cup to streamline it a little bit instead of doing a full round robin, even if you just did like a Frozen Four style bracket where based on winning percentages or whatever, you seed the teams and then you just basically win and you're in, lose and you're out. I thought they could have done something, even if the format is changing. So it's really disappointing. But Gage, I just think the logistics of trying to do that just don't make sense to me. And even then, like, how many of those 21-year-old kids, like, you want those guys to have the opportunity to go play pro, and a lot of them will be. So I don't know. I don't see how you can logistically make it happen to add on another year and to have more 21-year-olds, because then you're also taking away opportunities for guys that are younger coming into the league that have dreams of the NHL future. So I don't know. I don't know how you do it, Gager.
Yeah, I know. I look at it from the 16-year-old angle. A lot of 16-year-olds just go there and ride the pine. But I would just, for those 19-year-olds, they probably wouldn't have a great shot of playing major. And maybe that's the case. Maybe it just wasn't in the cards for them in the first place. But to be 19 and then turning 20, knowing that there's only 3 spots, maybe having a few extra 20-year-olds on your team, maybe that makes a difference or whatever. But yeah, no, it's just sad. I feel bad for young guys having to have their junior careers end prematurely.
Yeah, it sucks. You look at the OHL today announcing again, they're probably not going to play. We're already into April. A lot of guys that want to get drafted, and then it sucks with the Memorial Cup because once the Oil Kings here were winning those championships and went to 2, I mean, that's when it really hit home for me, and I became a fan of it. And it's such a cool tournament, and it's great, and the fans are awesome. But now it's 2 years in a row. Hopefully, 2022 we're in better times, and we can get this tournament back up and running because it's one of the best ones, definitely when it comes to hockey. But like Gage says, it sucks for the young guys. It sucks for the old guys. Sucks for a guy like Dylan Gunther, who's showcasing himself, who's projected to be a top-end pick, and he's only playing a handful of games and all that. So, yeah, it sucks all around for junior hockey.
Just got a quick text here before we get to keep it or clip it. We got to talk about it was Oilers lineup things, and it kind of got ruined by Nuge not playing this weekend. So we have to keep it or clip it in a second. But looks like the Oilers aren't going to be flying today. That's something I was just told. It looks like they will not be flying today. So it looks like the game against Vancouver tomorrow night might end up being postponed. But rumblings right now that they're at least not flying anywhere today. So I don't know what that means officially for the game tomorrow, but
that's a long bus ride.
For what it's worth. They're not flying.
You can always fly tomorrow in the morning.
To Vancouver. You could fly in the morning, couldn't you, Cass, if you needed to?
You can fly in the morning. Yeah, it's not a long flight. Like fly in the morning or fly in the afternoon. Do the exhibition game style, like where you fly in and you bus right to the rink.
Isn't it illegal?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, I know, but isn't it illegal in the collective bargaining agreement? They're supposed to be in the city they're playing in the day before.
Supposed to be, but I'm sure you could get a team vote on that, or if just extenuating circumstances with COVID, I'm sure you could make it work.
Yeah, I know.
How could you not?
Well, you used to do it all the time.
All right, let's get to keep it or clip it. 4 questions, boys. Let's dive into this one. This is a fun one from a goalie perspective. In Toronto, obviously, Jack Campbell finally beaten. He is human. If Freddie Anderson is healthy, he should start game 1 of the playoffs for the Leafs. Keep it or clip it.
Keep it. Keep it. He's a better goalie. Like, I know Campbell went on his little run, and that was great. Good to see. Good story. Great feels. All the warm and fuzzies. Anderson's a better goalie. So get him in the net.
I'll clip it because I want the Leafs to lose, so I won't.
So he was on the ice today. If it's tough for me to make a decision because he hasn't played. Are we saying if the playoffs start tomorrow, Dusty?
Yeah. Well, when the playoffs start, like once he's healthy, let's say they get to the playoffs and you've got healthy Anderson and maybe he's played a game or 2. I don't know.
I'm gonna clip it. I think they're gonna go with Soupy there to start for sure.
Oh, they're going to. I know they're going to. I agree with you, Gage. They're going to, but should they? I don't. I think they should put in Anderson, but yeah, I think Campbell gets a start, and I think they lose. And it would be hilarious. Or
start Rittich. Brought him in.
2 blockers, 2 sticks. Have them flip them both. See how that goes.
Here's the scary thing for the Leafs, that you are a really good team this year, but between the pipes, you have 0 playoff success. Anderson has played in the playoffs, but has been continually ripped for what he's done. The other guys have not even played in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with the goaltending in Toronto. Let's say they play Montreal in the first round. You got Carey Price in one net, and Anderson, who everybody criticizes, Campbell's, who never played in the playoffs. I mean, Riddick's not even going to factor in at that point. Maybe Hutch is going to be the answer. Maybe Hutchinson will be the guy who steals the show. Who knows? All right, Jack Eichel is out for the
season. 2 goalies.
Yeah, there you go. Jack Eichel is out for the season. He has also played his last game for the Sabres. Keep it or clip it.
Ooh. No, I'm I'm gonna clip it. They already took a bath on Taylor Hall. They can't get 2/3 and a fourth for Eichel too. They got to keep him.
Yeah, I'll clip it too. Like he is your guy in Buffalo. Like you get rid of Dahlin's going to be amazing. He's only 21. He's playing better, but yeah, Jack Eichel. They got to find a way to turn it around for him, but I think he stays.
Just because I've been disagreeing with you guys a lot. Which one is it? Keep it that means he's leaving?
Yeah, keep it would mean he's played his last game.
I'm going to keep it because the Buffalo Sabres are a train wreck, so they're gonna deal him somewhere. He's gone.
I don't think it's a crazy question to ask. Like I think we end up having a pretty serious discussion about this in the offseason, don't we?
Colorado.
I thought the Rangers
How about to Edmonton because they have the cap space?
We'll sign Nuge. We'll flip Nuge for Eichel, and we'll throw in, I don't know, whatever.
But not until after the expansion draft.
Nuge, Jesse Puljujarvi.
Watch your bloody mouth, Hernan. God, you guys. Unbelievable.
Okay, you can't tell me you'd want Puljujarvi over top of Jack Eichel. Like, don't lie.
I'd take Eichel, but I don't think you can fit him in. Puljujarvi's going to be on a value contract here, Cass. And wait a second. Puljujarvi's got 7 more goals than Eichel this year. So take that, Cass. Take that, Cass. Let me drop my pen on you. Boom.
We'll get hold of his birth certificate. We'll change his name. We'll add like 3 more I's in there to make
Jack
Dusty
Eichel
happy, and then
Eichel
and an EN at the end.
The Oilers should 100% send Bouchard to the American League right now. Keep it or clip it.
If anyone's getting on a plane right now, it should be that guy. So maybe the Oilers aren't getting on a plane, but he should get him down there. Keep it.
Keep it. They should have sent him 2.5 weeks ago. Like, I don't like it. And I know, like, Gregor here on TSN 1260, Edmonton sports leader in Edmonton, is a big fan of thinking like it's not going to hurt his development. And like long term, I still don't think it does. Like it doesn't. It's not going to. Him not playing right now doesn't mean he's not going to be a good NHL defenseman. Like it's not going to harm him overall from a career standpoint. But I think it slows his development down for where you want it to be. So I don't understand the logic behind having him here. This long, like you could have someone else playing that could still be a stopgap on that right side if you need be, and just let him play a lot, let him get more experience and get him game time. And that's what he needs. So absolutely keep it. Get that boy down there.
Yeah, keep it because like I was thinking of this yesterday. Like one of the right side guys goes down, I guarantee Tippett will flip Russell to the right side instead of playing Bouchard. So get him down there. That team is rolling nicely right now. Like they have a good core of defensemen, but they don't have that stud defenseman. Imagine if Bouchard's playing there with the 3 top guys of the Condors. So yeah, keep it for sure.
Last question, boys. 30 minutes is enough time to get in a good range session this afternoon for golf. Keep it or clip it. 30 minutes. Only 30 minutes.
For golf.
Yeah.
Better than 0 minutes. Keep it.
That is better than 0 minutes. I like that one. Gagers, 30 minutes enough, or do you need to have a little bit more time on that one? Are you Rochambeauing it for 30 minutes? I don't know if the body can handle that. Are we just straight drivers? I don't know if I'm going to go full Bryson DeChambeau. I'll probably mix in a few irons as well. But my boy's got he's got hockey today at 3:45, and it's a nice day out, and I can't stay and watch him. So I'm thinking of dropping him off, putting him on the ice, hitting the range for half an hour, coming back and picking him up. Where's the ice? Terwilliger. Oh, so you're going to Bogey Busters, or are you hitting Yager? Yeah, you'd probably go Bogey Busters. It's not that far from there, right? Yeah, maybe might have some company. Well, I'll be there around 4 o'clock today, Gager, if you want to come crush some balls with me, buddy.
Dusty, no. Oh,
what?
Dusty. You just told the criminals where you're going to be.
The worst possible mistake. What have I done? Oh, that's the worst. After dodging them for this long, Cass, they're finally going to get me. All right, that was great. Let's wrap up on that note. That was funny, Cass. That was well done. All right, so let's go with episode 134, Two Guys Crime Wave. I think that mostly because people love crime podcasts. I bet you this is our most listened to episode ever. It probably will end up being that way. A bunch of weirdos out there. Enjoy the weekend, boys, and we'll be back on Monday with another episode talking about at least one Oilers game. We'll see what happens after that. Thanks a lot, guys.
Later.
Have a good one, boys.